All righty. Let me get my chanclas again. So we'll take two. You can see on Zoom, it says we're preparing to go live. And it's just stuck in that for some reason. And I've cleared all the cookies.
My Zoom says live.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yep, it does.
I just don't see it on Facebook. So let's assume that we are, and there we go.
Good morning, everybody. Again, this is Cinco De Mayo show take 2. We had a little technical snafu a minute ago, but we're back. You know, we are Mama Ruthless this morning, so maybe we're not getting the good juju of Mama Ruth here. But this is our Chancla show, so I'm super excited. I'm a little sad that Mama Ruth isn't here for the show, but it is our famous lighthearted Chancla show that we have every year. So a little less political and a little bit more fun.
You wouldn't know that from the talk right before.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, most of it happened off camera. So,
that's right.
But yeah, there was some fun stuff too.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to Coffee and Panduce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny and Stephen and Mama Ruth. Of course, we're Mama Ruthless today on Cinco de Mayo. And we're also barbless today. So today is our third Chancla show. For those, we're taking 2, so it's easier to do this second time. For those who still, let's see if this joke still works. For those who still use sour cream on Mexican food and those who actually believe Cinco de Mayo is a Mexican holiday, this show is for you. How's that, Stephen?
It's good, it's good. But remember, it's important to note that this is also a day that commemorates the Battle of Puebla, which is yet another loss for the French on the battlefield.
Oh, the poor French.
That was actually good the second time as well. So as we always do in Coffee and Panduce, let's go around the Brady Bunch screen. It is quite possible that we're having still technical difficulties. So you may be seeing this an hour after we start, because we'll have to drop it on Facebook a different way. Otherwise, let's go around the Brady Bunch screen. I believe it's Jenny, Stephen, Raphael, who's joining us today. And now he changed his name today. His name is Chancla Bernie instead of Saint Bernie. And I was going to bring baby Trump Pinata back, but we have, I didn't want to, he's not having a good day. His dad's not having a good day today. So Jenny, you start.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, local advocate for the LGBT community. I represent, or I'm part of the coordinator team for Charlotte Pride and our Real Out Film Festival. I also, one of my buttons would be for the National Organization of Women Charlotte and several other organizations as well. Medicare for All and Moms Demand Action for sure. Stephen?
I'm Stephen DiFiore. I'm the recording secretary for the Mecklenburg County Libertarian Party and a regional affiliate coordinator for the State Libertarian Party of North Carolina. And good news on that front, we're spinning up 2 new affiliates in Cleveland and Gaston counties. So sometime soon, we hope that the folks of those counties will have more choice in their elections rather than just the same boring old duopoly that everyone else is used to. And then if I had a button, my buttons are end qualified immunity, because I think that law enforcement officers and agents of the state should be held to the same legal standard as every other citizen, and also end the wars. I think it's a terrible thing. The United States spends billions upon billions of dollars to bomb fishing villages in Yemen and creates more terrorists than it stops. And it's just not. It's an immoral thing that the nation is doing, and because we all pay taxes, we're kind of complicit in it. And I wish it would stop.
Raphael?
And on to you, Raphael.
Thank you. I'm Rafael Prieto. I'm a journalist based here in Charlotte. And this Friday in the District Court for the Western, it will be a decision if the CMPD officials that killed Rubén Galindo on September 6 of 2017 are going to be, it's going to be a trial for them in that court, a civil trial. So it's very important to see if justice is applied in this case, in which Rubén Galindo went out of his house with the hands like this, and he was killed. So it will be very important if we pay attention, because the former district attorney of Mecklenburg County dismissed or didn't present to the Gran Jurado the case and in a regular trial.
Thank you, Rafael. So let me just make sure that's this Friday.
Civil or criminal case, right?
No, it's going to be a civil case, but
Okay.
because the criminal case, Andrew Murray, the former district attorney, didn't even took in consideration the video that shows the killing of this Mexican parent in his own house.
I'm wondering, and I know we're supposed to talk to politics today, but I'm wondering, can they still press charges against?
If you don't win, if the district attorney don't present charges, or you go to the criminal case, and you acquit a person like
I see.
What's his name? The one that
George Floyd.
Not the George Floyd. The case in California a long time ago.
with O.J. Simpson.
With O.J.
Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean.
He was guilty in his, but after that it was a civil case. He had to pay some money to the people.
Oh, I see. Okay. So there was a criminal trial, and they were found not guilty, or they didn't indict him.
They didn't. Andrew Murray didn't present.
Okay.
He said that it was a tragedy that they killed Rubén Galindo, but he justified the killing of him.
Okay.
Because in the United States, if the cop is scared, that's a legal justification to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's. Yeah, Stephen has been very consistent with his stance against qualified immunity. The Libertarian Party, I give y'all credit for being against that. Even recently, we have a lot of Democrats in office that are talking about that, but y'all have been talking about that for a long time. I know you have been talking about it for a while.
And I know that the Democrats have control of the government now, and they haven't done a single thing on it. How weird is that?
Well,
it was terrible. The case of Galindo was terrible because Murray, it was a member of a law firm, before he became a district attorney. And the lawyers that represent the police involved in the shooting were represented by his former office, attorney's office.
Well, I mean, I think we're seeing that kind of play out in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where you have the district attorney Wombley, who is not releasing the tapes, and so we can do a lot of shows about that. So let's stay lighthearted. I'm Christian Cano. We've gone around the Brady Bunch screen. One of your co-hosts, along with Mama Ruth, Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, Stephen, and Barbara Bacon, and we want to welcome you to Coffee at Ponduce once again. We're having a little bit technical difficulties. We have not gone live on Facebook or YouTube, so we'll drop this after the show so you can see this show. So if you're watching this and you go, well, I thought you were on at 10, and we were, and Now we're not. So, all right. So today is the Chancla show, but before we actually go into the show, let's talk about current events. I'm just going to shoot 3 current events, and then you guys will go around the screen and you tell me how you feel about these. The first current event, which actually I just wrote it down before the show on take 1 of the show when Stephen said the French have lost another war. There was a farmer in Belgium, I believe, who moved a rock, a stone, because he was trying to plow grass and it was in his way, and he moved the stone 7 feet. And by moving that stone, he changed the French-Belgium border by 7 feet and gave Belgium 7 more feet and took 7 feet away from France. So Belgium is kindly asking one of the governments is asking the farmer to move it back, or else they'll have to go to like international treaty court or whatever to get that 7 feet back. I thought that was interesting because that was another thing the French lost. So that's one thing. Second thing, first thing this morning when I woke up, it actually happened after the breaking news that Facebook has decided to keep the ban on our former president. So he will not be able to go on at least Facebook. Their independent counsel, they call it the Facebook Supreme Court, decided to keep the ban. We were talking about that right before we went live the second time. And the third thing is the cicadas, as we talked about the last 2 weeks, are going to start hatching. I saw the numbers. It's going to be trillions of cicadas. And so you thought the deficit of the United States was bad. The cicadas are going to take our mind off the deficit. So those are the 3 topics.
Unlike the deficit, the cicadas are full of protein. They're gluten-free, and with a little salt and butter, delicious.
All right.
According to the recipes I've seen online.
So who wants to talk about any of those 3 topics in 30 seconds?
Hey, we forgot to salute the show. And we forgot to talk about Manolos.
That's right. As we always do in Coffee and Pandusa, let's salute our neighbors. Salute whatever you're drinking this morning. I should be drinking something this morning on Cinco de Mayo. It should be like an all-day thing, right? 5 o'clock somewhere. So anyway, we do want to thank Manolo's Bakery, our Pandusa sponsor.
Coffee,
yes.
Jameson.
Ooh, that looks good. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I wonder if you can have Taco Tuesday Wednesday too. So anyway, Manolo's Bakery on Central Avenue. Please support your Black and brown small businesses or any small business as we get out of this global pandemic. All right, we've done that. Anything else, Jenny?
I just wanted to keep you honest.
That's right. Okay.
I guess I'll start off the comments.
Okay, go
first. Ahead. I think Donald Trump is going to set up his own network, so he won't need no book or face anymore. I hope he does.
It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be the best network ever. I can't wait. People often say how great the network's going to be.
I honestly,
huge.
I honestly hope he does, and I don't necessarily miss him, but I do think it'll be funny. He does have a lot of years under his belt as a broadcaster, and it'll definitely be a hot mess. So it'll be better than it was when he was in his presidency, and it should provide some pretty good laughs while we're still struggling with this pandemic. As far as the cicadas are concerned, bring them on. I'm vegan, so I won't eat them. And what was the third one? I don't even remember what the other one was.
France lost 7 feet of territory.
Yeah, I mean, the French should be used to losing by now, so it won't be no big deal. Leave the farmer alone. He was just trying to move a rock. Digging in the dirt for a living is hard enough as is. They can get over the 7 feet.
Regarding Cinco de Mayo, in Mexico, that festivity is not as important as is in the US, and there are less margaritas and less guacamole ingested in this date. Just to remind that the the guy that won that battle was born, Ignacio Zaragoza was born in Galveston, Texas. And really the celebration became initially as a very important thing for Mexican Americans in the land of Mr. Cano.
Yeah.
And then it became a festivity to drink a lot of beer and a lot of margaritas and celebrate the presence of the Mexican culture in the United States. It's a nice celebration.
So Rafael, how do you feel about the Trump, the Facebook Supreme Court?
It's a good decision. It's a good decision. Yeah. He was a horrible, the most horrible person that has been in the presidency of the United States. He did the attempt of coup d'etat on the February the 6th. He doesn't care about anything or anyone.
Okay. Stephen.
The Belgian farmer thing is really funny. Something I learned in school about international politics is that nation states will do almost anything to prevent loss of territory. So going to international court to try to get that rock removed so they can retain their territory. That's just what states do. It's pretty funny because, it's that slippery slope. If you lose 6 feet now, you lose 6 feet later, and then it becomes a mile. And then the next thing you know, you have, Angela Merkel riding through the Champs-Élysées or whatever that main avenue is. They can't have that. Yep. It's funny. Cinco de Mayo is fun. Something interesting when, other nations have holidays that are kind of meh. They make their way into the United States, and Americans figure out a way to make them into a drinking holiday. And I think that is our amazing cultural contribution to the world. Any excuse for teens on spring break to party hardy. Go America. And then the Facebook ban, I think, Facebook can do what they want. On principle, I don't think it's a good decision. Yeah. But if it prompts Trump and other people like him to start their other platform, I'm a fan of competition. And it should be fun and entertaining if they do. He does have a lot of experience in broadcast network experience. So, I mean, bring it on. But to speak to something Rafael said about Trump being, one of the worst presidents ever, I don't necessarily disagree. I do find it interesting, though, that a lot of his policies are continuing under new management. And I think that's interesting. The rhetoric, of course, has changed. The media presentation of these policies have changed. They're not kids in cages anymore. They're detention centers or relocation centers. But the actual fact of the matter is human beings in buildings behind chain link fencing, sleeping on cold concrete floors, that hasn't changed. And I find it very interesting that, just when you have a new boss, suddenly the thing that was terrible before, oh, no, it's good now. It's good now. Really? Why? Because your team's doing it?
Hey, Jenny, jump in. I can just, I'm getting the vibes, Jenny.
Well, elections have consequences, and Trump left a lot of poop on the floor for Biden to clean up. I give Biden some grace when we're talking that he's only 100 days in and he inherited a out of control pandemic and an economic crash all in the first days of office. And he has reversed a lot of Trump policies. I would like to see him move faster on the cages thing for the kids, but I will say that a lot of those kids, they actually don't know who they're attached to. Trump's team didn't do a really good job with paperwork. So there is some logistical problems with reuniting those kids that the Biden administration inherited. I don't like families being separated for any reason. We should have never done that. Biden needs to fix that. That is a humanitarian crisis. Unfortunately, a lot of times Democrats do continue the policies of their predecessor. It was one of my biggest criticisms of Obama, actually, was continuing the fake war for profit for the 9/11 things. Obama should have stopped that the moment he took office. There was no reason for us to be in Afghanistan, considering that Osama bin Laden was sitting in Pakistan since 2005, and we killed him in 2011, and it was the most expensive manhunt in history. That was shame on the Democrats too, forever voting and going along with all those hijinks and craziness. And we spent $6 trillion. Right now, we could probably use that. That was a keeper. Those IOUs add up. And I think we spend too much money on military spending, and I hope Biden, I don't have a lot of hope on this. I see a $750 billion price tag for a military that is way too expensive. It's like we're living in a single wide trailer, but we have a Ferrari sitting out front. But us private citizens can't drive that Ferrari. So it's absolutely useless. You can't eat a tank. Yeah. We don't have any major, I mean, we spend more than the next 28 countries combined. So we have a lot of problematic policies that I hope over this year and then going into 2022, Biden reverses them out. I do know these probably worked more hours in the first 100 days than Trump did in the first year. I'm glad to see that he actually is in the office working and not working 4 hours a day and then taking off 3 days a week to go to his golf resort in South Florida. Well, but we need to go get to the Chancla.
Yeah, Rafa, you want to add something?
Just to remind you, unfortunately, Stephen wasn't the day that we discussed the immigration issue in full, but just to remind that during the Trump administration, separation of children was a policy of the state in purpose. Jeff Sessions wrote the memo ordering to separate the children to deter the people to come to the United States. In writing, saying that you must separate those children from their parents. It's a completely different approach to the situation. Maybe it's a logistic mess. But I believe the Biden approach to immigration is very different. And unfortunately, he didn't send the right message saying that there is no open borders. This country still has no policy of open borders. Okay. And send the message to Central America, because as I pointed weeks ago, the perspective for the 11 million undocumented is really tarnished with the exodus to the southern border.
Sure.
We need to.
That was a good point, Rafael. You did mention that when we mentioned about why are lazy Americans. My title was "Why Are Lazy Americans Afraid of Border Kids?" So thank you for saying that. But we do want to jump into our topic today. But before we jump in, I do want to touch on those three things really quickly. Trump actually promised that he was going to start his own social media site. Remember, and he did. He did quietly yesterday. He started a blog, and people have been making fun of it because Trump's like the drunk guy that promises everything and nothing ever comes true. But people are like, oh, he's not going to do. He doesn't have the money. He doesn't really have. He doesn't have the attention span to actually do something like long term, And so he did start a blog yesterday. I think it was. I think it's on his page, donaldtrump.com or something, and he blogs. And you can like his blog. So that's the only similarity to any social media is you can actually like it. The IT people say it was like someone cut and paste WordPress, you know, like on Google or GoDaddy or something, and started it. And it was down for a long time because it wasn't done properly. So that's, Trump did start something. It was just, you know, whatever. The Facebook ban to me just is hilarious, because did he actually expect they were going to allow him back? You know, I mean, it's like someone going into your store and destroying it and then just keep them out. And then also with I wrote something out. I can't even read my own writing. Well, I guess it wasn't that important. So we'll go.
French thing. You're going to say something about France?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to laugh about the French thing. I just think I agree with you, Stephen. That's just hilarious. I mean, the guy like moved it because it was in his way. It's been there since like 1830 something. That actual, it was a treaty between Napoleon when he lost in Waterloo. The treaty he signed established that border, and apparently they put these stones to where the border was. So that stone has been there for a long time. So it's like the farmer just suddenly realized that it was in his way. And it's like, I don't know. I think that's
it's really funny how national borders come about sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's really arbitrary. You just have these stones that are put up, and it's if you go down a cartography, which is the study of maps, rabbit hole about national borders, like why they look the way they do, some of the reasons behind it, you know, why one country looks like, you know, the way it looks on a map or another, it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
How some of that comes to pass.
Well, I think Texas has the coolest border, by the way, and North Carolina has a really cool one as well. So with that being said, let's talk about the chancla. This is our third show. We've been trying to educate people what a chancla is, and hopefully you have some familiarity if you've been watching the show for the last 2.5 years. Jenny's got one. Chancla Bernie today, you know, we changed his name from St. Bernie to Chancla Bernie. He actually, I loaned him one. He's got a chancla there. I don't know if you can see him on the screen. And I have lots of chanclas. I have several. This is the one I walk around with outside. If I go to the store, I put this one on. When I go to the beach, this is my chancla. I believe technically, we're going to play this first video. We played this 3 times already, but just so that way we can educate yourself on what a chancla is. A chancla is and maybe Raphael can explain this if he knows the correct definition. My understanding is a chancla is just a heelless shoe. It's a slip-on, a flip-flop, you know, and it is used for practical reasons. Also can be, we're going to watch the video. It can be used for discipline, which is what we know, many young kids know it as, even if they've never used the chancla. It's like the belt that you never got, but just the fear of the belt. So,
I'll help you there.
You're Italian. Wooden spoon.
No.
A chancla to white people, we call it a switch. You know, so I'm give me a switch off that tree, and so I can beat you with it. I mean, that's what my grandparents said. So
let's
in Latin America is the mother's discipline tool.
Oh, okay. Tell me if you guys can see this. Can you see the video?
Yes.
Dos Mundo.
Here we go.
Why are Hispanic children so well behaved? The secret is Hispanic culture, which emphasizes boundaries, developmental growth, and a traditional technique known as La Chancla. For centuries, the secret of La Chancla has helped millions of Latina moms focus attention to each child's unique needs, instill values of fairness and fair play, encourage healthy eating habits, learn the discipline required to excel in academics, moral reasoning. La Chancla can help every parent master a truly hands-off parenting style.
So, you know, we play that every Chancla show so we can kind of give a humorous update in case you want to know what the chancla is. And it's always been this joke about, Eddie Murphy has this bit back in the mid 80s about his mom, his grandmother falling or his mom throwing the shoe at him, and it's like a boomerang. It goes like around the house and stuff. And that's kind of what the chancla is like, you know, like your parent, or, you know, could be in another room in the chancla. Apparently it's just this humorous myth that started.
She was wielding that like Batman. I mean, I was pretty impressed. It's like I was waiting for a cable to shoot out and tie up those kids or something, and she just pull off a mask and go, I'm Batman.
Well, you know,
that was pretty good.
Yeah, the last show we talked about this, and we talked about how every culture, every family has their own version of the chancla. Stephen, tell us, the last show we talked about it. Tell us what yours was.
Oh, so if you're Italian from New York, we don't throw sandals because you don't usually wear sandals in New York. It's too cold. But Italian grandmothers will use the wooden spoon.
Mm.
I thought that was so interesting when you told me the wooden spoon, because my mom used to use the spatula. She would have a spatula. And so Raphael, tell us, did your family have what did y'all use?
No. It was the belt. The belt was the tool to reprimand me. It was horrible. I was raised by my grandparents. They were extremely lovely with me, but they were people that were born in the beginning of the 20th century. So they have this tradition that everything has to be done by the belt. They say that to learn la letra, the letter, with blood enters. So you want to learn and you don't obey, you must be punished with the belt to the point of blood.
Yeah,
that was really horrible. One day, I was playing in the park of the town, and one of the cousins of my grandmother asked me where I was going at that moment, and I say, I watching when I was young westerns, Bonanza and Guns, all the Lone Ranger, and I respond to him, are you the sheriff in the town? So he told that to my grandmother, and my grandmother wait for me with the belt, and she say, you must respect the elders of the family. And I was tran.
Wow.
I learned to respect the elders.
Yeah.
In that way. Chanclas, we live in Steven, in a cold place.
Yeah.
In a cold place in Colombia that is always cold. Every day is cold. There are no seasons. It's a rain season and season that not rain. So they don't use chanclas in my town. They use shoes.
Okay.
And belts.
I'm reminded of, you remember Mama Ruth's story that she told us? And this is like her show. This is what she always looks forward to, is this show. And we're so sorry that she's not here with us today. She's having technical difficulties like I am as well. Trump, it's his fault. Remember she told us that they had something where she had to sing this song with a twig or something, or I can't remember. She mentioned how she was disciplined when she grew up in San Antonio, and that was kind of her story or whatever. I was never hit by the chancla, or I was really never spanked. maybe that explains a lot. But I was never, yeah, well, I was never really spanked, but I knew about the chancla. I mean, I knew it was just something. It was kind of a joke, but it was a serious joke. And so now that the millennials have really taken over this chancla myth, it's like the Bigfoot myth, you know, the chancla myth has grown and grown and grown, which is these videos come out, and there's tons of videos for young people young Latinx individuals who make these videos about the chancla, and they're more creative and more creative. But I just find it hilarious. It's a kind of a funny thing now. Jenny, you sound like you look like you want to say something, or are you just reading something? Because I know.
No, I'm just.
Okay.
This topic always. It's kind of funny and it's kind of serious at the same time, you know.
Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know if y'all remember, but the first show, I think we talked about the chancla, and I read this article from a newspaper in California, and they were criticizing these videos because they said it was glorifying corporal punishment, and it was glorifying like abusing kids or whatever. See, I don't see that. Maybe because
no, it's obvious satire. So for example, like I'll talk about the spoon, but corporal punishment was never used in my family, right? And corporal punishment was less common growing up than when I grew up, and when, let's say, my parents grew up, or when their parents grew up. You know, it's becoming less and less and less. The chancla thing is funny, I think. It's kind of a meme, because no one really does it anymore. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. But even if someone just throws a sandal at you, you know, that's a little, because a sandal doesn't have a lot of velocity, doesn't have a lot of mass. It's a lot different than being hit with a piece of wood or you know, a leather strap. You know, it's kind of like did you throw a shoe at me? What?
No.
You know, and
hey, Stephen,
more of an attention getter than not.
Yeah, Raphael, maybe you remember this, but do you remember when someone threw a shoe at President Bush?
Yeah, of course. I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
That was in Baghdad, I believe. In Baghdad, when he visited Baghdad.
And
that's like curse somebody in that culture.
Yeah, because
but
remember when the Saddam Hussein statue fell? And there was a famous scene where people had their shoes and they were like beating on it. I was like, what are they doing? I guess it's like an insult or something. Is that?
Yeah, it's an insult.
Yeah. So
it's like you use the F word in that culture. Throw.
Yeah, specifically in Arab culture, you do not show the soles of your feet or your shoes to somebody else as a sign of great disrespect. And so to be struck with a shoe or a piece of footwear, or have a shoe thrown at you, is the height of disrespect. It is though you are garbage to be walked upon in Arab culture.
And to show the people the foot odor.
Yeah. So I guess I know the last time we had the show, or we talked about the chancla show, the second chancla show, the former president was in office, and I jokingly said, well, maybe someone needed to use a chancla on him when he was growing up. But, you know, we can move it today. We've got a couple of Republican or GOP QAnon congresspersons, like the lady from Colorado and the crazy guy here from West North Carolina. It'd be funny as heck if Auntie Maxine or AOC or just someone who we know, if they were saying something stupid, if a chancla would fly across the congressional floor and I don't know. I think that would be hilarious. How do y'all?
I don't know. I think there's been enough things done in the Capitol building for 1 year. We may
need more chaos.
Yeah.
Our politicians must know the fear of the chancla. They must not feel safe anywhere.
Yeah,
it'll come whipping through the hallways of the Capitol building and go into their office and hit them in their head when they're trying to get a corrupt bill passed or get an earmark put in for their cronies. It'd be really funny.
Raphael wants to jump in.
No, I was going to say that I was a victim of corporal punishment. I am not in favor of corporal punishment, but I bet to Stephen, that in the Caribbean and in the places where they use chanclas in Latin America, mothers still are using that as a tool of punishment. And they throw the chancla. They throw the chancla for kids.
Yes.
Not to their kids.
I've always said, you know, whenever Rafael gets that festival I was talking about, that it's going to be a 3-day long festival where it's going to be like international, you know, all these cultures can come together. We're going to have a grito contest, which I know they do have a grito contest already. A grito contest followed by a chancla throwing contest. Those are the two contests. I guarantee
we have a chancla toss.
Yes, I guarantee. And what will happen is the mom or whoever throws the chancla will have to hit one of the kids running across. And that will be, I don't know if they want to hit the kids, but
probably could do cardboard cutout.
A piñata figure.
Yes.
So you know what we could do? We could have a charity event where we have like, let's say, a local celebrity or politician and like full like padded gear or something.
Be one of those,
right?
Be one of those padded suits.
Yeah, like one of those padded suits you use like in the for police training, and so like it's funny, and then you just throw it at them, and it's like something for charity. I'd volunteer for that. I mean, that'd be hilarious.
That would be like the running of the bulls almost. I mean, it'd be, instead of running of the chancla.
Hey, I don't know if you remember, but I had a bet with Jenny, and she doesn't remember this, but before the pandemic, we had bet that we would race down my street in high heels. Do you remember that, Jenny?
Did we have that bet? I don't think you took it.
No, I don't think I did either, because I was afraid I was gonna like break my ankle or something, because
that I'm probably way faster than
yes. So in Washington, DC, they actually right around Halloween, they have this race down one of the streets, and people get in high heels and they run. And I'm always so afraid to watch it because I'm afraid that people are going to break their ankles or whatever. And there's always like, you know, drag queens that win, you know, or you dress up and you do all kinds of stuff, whatever. But I don't think I could even walk like a block with high heels in the street. I mean, that's you
gotta run on the balls of your feet, you know. So that's the key. So
okay. I mean, high heels aren't that hard, allegedly.
No.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, because I've
worked. Is libertarians having drag shows or something? Is there something we should know about?
Well, I mean, we are very freedom oriented. Express yourself, your true self, however you are.
Well, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I can tell you, because I've worn chanclas my entire life. And we even have, Jenny, you've been here to the house, at the back door, we have this metal box that we put our chanclas in, and it is a secure metal box. And the reason we do it was because our dogs used to chew our chanclas. And so we put them to protect them. We put them in the metal boxes. And just to let you know how much I know about chanclas, you have to be really careful when you're just wearing regular flip-flops or chanclas, because they are very, very slippery when it's wet. So you could literally break your neck, because it's like glass. If you wear flip-flops that are plastic or whatever, or Crocs or whatever, you have to get the special ones, which is why I have these Keens. It's a brand, the Keen brand, and it is like rubber. And so when it gets wet, you don't slip. And so I just thought I'd share that chancla information in case you want to know.
You do have a big old box of chanclas next to your door. I can vouch for that.
What was that, Stephen?
I feel educated.
Yes. So we don't really have a lot to talk about chanclas. So this show may be one of our shortest shows that we are going to be doing. But you know, it is Cinco de Mayo, and we do want to, Stephen, I don't know if you have any more information on what actually is Cinco de Mayo. Rafael did educate us about a little bit, but it's the battle of, what was it?
La Batalla de Puebla.
Yeah, the Battle of Puebla.
Oh, okay, all right, and that is
Puebla is a city
Okay.
Near Mexico City, 200, 300 kilometers from Mexico City. The city is extremely beautiful. It was very beautiful, very beautiful. When I went there, you can see the Popocatépetl. There is a volcano, and the Iztaccíhuatl, that is another snow cape area in Mexico. And the Battle of Puebla was basically during the time that Maximilian and Carlota were ruling Mexico because they decided that they needed an emperor, and they brought an emperor from Europe to Mexico City to rule the country. But some Mexicans didn't like that, and they initiated a rebellion that ended up with Maximilian and Carlota, his wife, being killed by
firing squad.
Yeah, in Querétaro, another city of Mexico, and the insurrection was led by Benito Juárez. Benito Juárez, that is one of the most important figures in the Mexican history, because he was an Olmec Indian, and he became president, and they defeat Napoleon III, who was the emperor of France, who sent some troops to support the European government of Mexico, and they finally defeat the French. But the Battle of Puebla, after the Battle of Puebla, nothing happened.
Sure.
Really for the insurrection. They had to fight several years in order to finally win the.
Yeah, the war, if I remember correctly, went on for like a decade, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. I believe it was 6-7 years, something like that.
So I wonder, and I should know this, but I don't. I wonder how in the United States, Cinco de Mayo got confused with 16, because most people think Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day, which it's not. That's 16,
No.
16th of September.
The Mexican independence was in 1910.
Yeah,
was declared in 1910.
And that's where the grito
Guanajuato, in the town of Dolores, Guanajuato. So and this was the Battle of Puebla was in 1960 something.
1860 something.
So I'm just curious why people here, I know anyone's looking for a reason to celebrate, why people here celebrate Cinco de Mayo at restaurants and everything. And I know it's a drinking thing and so forth, but I'm sure if you go out today and ask, hey, what's today? Cinco de Mayo. Do you know what Cinco de Mayo is? They would think it's Mexican Independence Day. Yeah.
Basically, because Zaragoza was Texan. Zaragoza was Texan.
Okay.
And he won the battle.
Okay.
The Mexican American was the one that fought that battle and won that battle. And then in the Southwest, the Mexicans start to celebrate Cinco de Mayo for a while. That was, I believe, was after the Mexican Revolution, after the country was organized well in the United States. Then they start to celebrate that by the Mexican communities as a historic thing. Yeah. But suddenly the companies from advertisement and the importers of Corona, and they decided to figure that in another thing.
Well, I can tell you that in my family, you know, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and my family, a huge family. One of my uncles had at the time a beer distribution of Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch. And so we had Jamaicas and Fiestas every month, it seemed like it. And I know why. It was because they were just trying to sell all the beer. And so I know, so it was like every month we had a Jamaica at the church or a Fiesta or something, you know. And so now I look back, it was really just to provide money for the family. So anyway.
But you know, fiestas are fun. Why not have celebrations?
Yeah. You know, this is we're getting it.
Party every week if you can.
It didn't have to be a recognition,
mm-hmm.
a real recognition by the regular Americans
mm-hmm.
of the Mexican presence
mm-hmm.
in the United States, without prejudice, without. I believe it's a nice celebration.
Oh,
and I believe there are something like 35,000
mm-hmm.
or something that I don't know if my statistic is wrong. Mexican restaurants in the United States. It's a huge. So it's a day that the Mexican restaurants do very well. Plus the regular American restaurants
mm-hmm.
give presents. I got one tequila shirt in one of the Cinco De Mayo, and they gave me colors and gave me things to drink tequila.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've always thought it was funny, and Jenny and I have had these conversations between ourselves as well. I always thought it was funny during the last administration when there was all this hatred and just bigotry going towards immigrants, especially brown immigrants from who maybe look like me or members of my family. And at the same time, they were celebrating Taco Tuesday, or you know, or driving a Kia, you know, or a Hyundai, or you know, and it's like, you know, they're not. I mean, I just thought it was just so hypocritical that when I saw these kind of things, especially when the Tea Party thing happened. I don't know if you ever remember, after the first year of the Obama administration, when the Tea Party started, I went to a Tea Party event in Texas at the time, and I saw all these flags and America shirts, and I looked in the parking lot, and it was all like Kias, Hyundais, Hondas, you know, this. And then I jokingly said, I bet their shirts are like from Hobby Lobby, made from China. And I literally took someone's shirt like that, and it was made in China. I just thought it was just so funny. And so anyway, we've digressed. So listen.
Well, and I think holidays like, you know, Cinco de Mayo, which is, you know, turned into, you know, like a St. Patrick's Day, but for May, is you know, one based around togetherness and all that, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think if anything, not only does it celebrate the beauty of the Latinx and Mexican influence on not only American history, but just the contribution they bring as a beautiful, amazing part of our country that definitely fuels our economy, shows a different way, but yet we embrace the Mexican culture in certain ways, and it's a shame that we see these people that scream when somebody speaks Spanish, and they lose their mind, and you go, you know, as somebody that on my dad's side, I'm only a second generation American, and listening to my grandparents speak in their native tongue, which was definitely not American or English or whatever you want to call what we speak here. I think when we start to hate a culture, or some of us start to hate a culture, we lose that magic, that connectivity. And I think we really need to rebuild bridges in the next few years to the Latinx culture and all the beautiful diversity that you see in the Latinx culture, you know, from South America and Central America and all that. And because that was some of my most fond memories of living in San Antonio and being immersed in all the different Latinx cultures there, and the beauty of the celebrations and the beauty of fiesta, and learning about the art and learning about so much that community has given us. And they're a foundation of America,
Yeah,
like in Texas, they were there first. They were there before any of the Germans or Czechs settled there.
Go ahead.
I want to hear from Steve that Steve and I took his place and I spoke too long. Please,
go ahead,
Steve.
Oh no, I'm saying, Latino and Hispanic culture is part of the tapestry of America. So, that's one of the unique things about the United States is, unlike most nations, right, where most nations are ethnostates, right? If you're from Japan, you're Japanese. If you're from China, you're Han. If you're French, you're French, right? If you're German, you're German. If you're Russian, you're Russian. But in the United States, it's a country of many nations. And I think that's kind of fun and interesting. And it's a unique thing. We're a pluralistic culture. And so we have this beautiful tapestry. And unironically, that diversity is our strength. It's one of the reasons why areas of a lot of people coming together from across the world are places of innovation and economic engines that help make America one of the better places to live in the country in the world, in spite of its problems. And I think that you do have those few individuals, right, who freak out when someone's speaking Spanish in the grocery store. And, that always, gets its rounds on social media because they're uncommon, not because they're common. Yeah. Right. It's like, oh, look at this jerk. Like, who cares? Blah, blah, blah. We love Taco Tuesdays, and I think that's a nice thing.
I almost thought you were going to say "Make America Great Again." I don't know.
Wrong party.
Okay, all right. So, yes, I did notice your sweatshirt. That's from Manolo's Bakery, by the way. Just in case you're curious, I spotted that very quickly. We're going to play this last humorous video, and then we're going to end the show because we do value your time. Once again, this show was actually recorded an hour before we're posting it because I had some technical difficulties as usual. I blame Facebook. Maybe they're being hacked because of the Trump thing. Who knows? Maybe we're like in the middle of news and so forth. So
maybe it's China.
Yes,
China's doing stuff.
Maybe it's China. All right, let's see if we can do this this last one that we're going to end. So let's see if you've got that. All righty, here we go.
What's wrong with you? Don't you ever do that again. Kill a fly? No, raise the chancla like that. Mexicans have PTSD when it comes to chanclas. Chanclas? Hispanic mothers? Does that ring a bell? I mean, I've seen you get hit before, but I didn't think you were that scared of them. Who isn't scared of them? Me? You know what? Come with me and I'll show you exactly. Well, I'll forever have nightmares about that thing. I thought you hated the chancla, not me. Look, you see that kid over there acting out of control and behaving like a mocoso? That's not gonna last because of two reasons. She's a Hispanic mother and she's wearing a chancla. That's pretty much why. And that is the power of the chancla. Wow, that's incredible. And she doesn't even actually have to hit her. Oh, no, she still actually hits her with the chancla. But what's even worse is Hispanic moms have incredible aim and can hit you no matter where you are. Come on, I'm 23. Where can I eat what I want? Okay, now that is pretty scary. So how do I avoid a chancla? Avoid? Yeah, sure. What? I'm serious. So why are we out here again? What was that for? Look, you can't avoid getting hit by a chancla, but you can get used to it. Yeah, I think you're ready.
So,
okay, let's put your training to the test. Repeat this line so that Hispanic mother will get mad at you. Hey, Hispanic mother, I don't know. I don't care if there's frijoles at the house. I want McDonald's right now.
So that is it's actually a really long video. I didn't want to play all of it. I just kind of wanted to kind of show the humor that has been out for the last. This chancla phenomenon, so to speak, really was kind of started by millennials here in the United States. But we've always, Gen Xers, we've known about it. We've joked about it. A lot of Hispanic or Latinx comedians always joke about it. It's our kind of like thing, joke. But I find it refreshing that we're able to bring humor, and it's something that unites not just Mexican Americans, but Puerto Rican Americans, but it's just seems to be kind of a universal thing that if you're a young Latinx individual, you know about the chancla, or you know someone who knows someone about the chancla. So anyway, that's why these shows are kind of funny, because it's just funny. So anyway, we're going to end the show, and I do value your time. We're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen, and please tell us where you're going to be. I do want to remind you that tomorrow night we are having another one of our Thursday night special shows. The topic is will banning assault rifles stop America's gun violence epidemic? We will have, of course, our regular co-host, and we will also have a special guest from New York. His name is, he'll be joining us tomorrow evening to be talking about the topic as well. So we'll be talking about the assault weapon ban for tomorrow night, and should be a very interesting conversation as well. And then next week, we will have our regular show on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll get all the technical difficulties out of the way. We're going to have 2 back-to-back Wednesday shows about COVID-19. The first one next week is the worst behind us? And then the next week, we'll be talking about how to have summer 2021 during COVID-19. Completely different than it was last summer, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Bumfeld, Dr. B, as we call him here, back on the show on those 2 to talk about vaccinations and so forth. So with that said, Jenny, Raphael, Stephen, I don't even know if that's the correct order, but if you'll go that route.
Sounds like a good order to me.
Yeah, all right. Jenny.
Well, I will be at the NOW meeting tonight. We have a special guest speaker. His name is Isaiah Guerrero, and he is with the Fair Immigration Reform Movement out of Washington, D.C. So he will be our special guest tonight. Alma Hernandez, that is one of our board members, knew him from the International House and asked him to speak tonight. So it'll be very interesting to hear him speak and learn more about immigration and everything that surrounds that. And then I also will be attending a Charlotte Pride virtual event on Monday, May 10th. We have a game night called Jackbox, and it's going to be associated with the Charlotte Gamers Network. It's free to all, and you can go on Charlotte Pride's Facebook page or website and register for the event, or on Charlotte Gamers Network if you're a member of that, and register for the event either way. Stephen?
Steve, please go ahead.
Oh, Steve, I'm just going to be.
That's the right order.
Yeah. I'm just going to be, working and, doing my thing, and enjoying some Takis, because I love these things. But because I'm multicultural, I don't know if you've ever eaten Takis. They get you get your fingers stained with the stuff. So I use chopsticks to eat my toffees because I don't like to get the stuff on my fingers. Because multiculturalism is awesome sauce.
No,
And
but
besides, I think that chopsticks are a far more civilized way to eat food than fork and knife, but that's just me.
Steve, the idea is to have your fingers red and do this after you eat the whole taquito. What's the name of the
Takis.
Exactly. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I cannot be at the with Café and Pan Dulce because in a weekly basis, I have a Zoom meeting with people from Uruguay, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia. We do something similar, but with international topics. So,
well, we'll definitely miss you, and please come back and so we can talk about COVID next week if you're available.
I really apologize not being last week.
Oh, that's fine. I will be here. It is Mother's Day weekend, and I will be here. It is. In other words, we're not camping this weekend. We are. I've sent all of my Mother's Day cards. I was raised by a single dad, so I always send my dad a Mother's Day card on Mother's Day, and a Father's Day card, and all kinds of cards all the time. But I actually found a card that's made for single dads that you give to dads on Mother's Day. And so I was so excited when I found one because I kept thinking, mothers, there could all be, you could be raised by a Thea or a Theo or a grandparent or whatever. And there's all these wonderful cards. I found it at Target, actually. They have a wide range of different type of Mother's Day cards. Anyway, the American Greetings was just trying to sell cards. I know that. And so anywho.
Hooray, capitalism.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, I am going to say on that note,
Sure.
I am speaking at the Wedgwood Church this Sunday morning, and the topic is nurturing and Mother's Day, and I'm going to be talking about two-spiritedness, and I'm actually talking about that exact subject.
Excellent.
That anybody can be. We need to replace the word Mother's Day with really nurturing and nurturing spirits, sure. And that anybody can be nurturing. An uncle can be nurturing, a mentor can be nurturing, and that Mother's Day means so much more to so many people besides cisgendered women. So it'll be an interesting topic.
I will.
Melba asked me to speak on that.
I will actually go to church this Sunday then. So that's that. Thank you very much. So we're going to end this show by me telling you something very humorous, and then we will end the show with music. As I mentioned to everyone before the show, during the take ones and take twos, that I was up really late last night doing my ancestry.com leaves, if you know what I'm talking about, and you go back. I've gone back so far to, what was it, 15 something. I've gotten to that point, and on one of my family's sides, and it's in Spain. And I got back to my Texas roots that stopped in 1852 from Eagle Pass, Texas. That I got to that point, and then the next one was Mexico behind that one. And then I was looking for the earliest my family has been in the United States, and I got back to 17. I think it was 17. It was before the Civil War. Before the American Revolution or whatever it was called. And my 6th or 7th great grandmother was born in Arkansas. And I was just like, oh man. So I just thought it was funny. But the funniest part is, anyone who's watched this show knows, before the pandemic, I used to go to my neighborhood sports bar, The Lodge. There was a person there that I used to always sit next to, and she would always say that she's an American. She's an American. And where are you from? Where are you from? I know that's code for, you're not really an American, or you're not white. That's really what it meant. She always tells me her family is Scotch-Irish, and they came here, I guess, like in the 1920s or 1910s, or I can't remember, whatever. Now when I see her next, I can say, bitch. my family's been here from Arkansas since 17 something. So I won't say it that way because she usually buys my drinks. So I won't insult her. But with that said, we do want to thank you for joining us on Coffee and Dulce. We'll see you next time. We will end to music if this works. No. Maybe. All right. Let's just act like there's music. Bye, y'all.
We'll just dance to imaginary music.
Nothing's working today. Thank you very much.